Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of NoDQ&A video right here on NoDQ.com, and as always the YouTube channel, youtube.com/NoDQCAW. Thanks as always for watching. WWE TLC is this coming Sunday live on pay-per-view. You can check out the coverage at NoDQ.com. With that being said, let's get right down to your questions. This first one comes from CETDWP08. Hey Aaron, love the show, keep it up. Thanks for that. Is Cody Rhodes going for another gimmick with the mustache? Or do you think he'll ever turn face again? Please answer on video. I also got another question here regarding Cody Rhodes. Somebody also asking me about the mustache and do I think Cody Rhodes will get a huge push in 2013? First of all, regarding the mustache, I like it. I think it's a good change for him. I like the look. Is it a gimmick change? I wouldn't really call it a full-fledged gimmick change. I just think it's him experimenting and trying something different, similar to when Randy Orton grew out his beard. The crowd popped huge for the mustache. I mean, they broke out in a Cody's mustache chant, and The Miz was ripping into him. So I like the mustache, and it's kind of sad because I think the mustache was the most noteworthy thing about Raw this week. But I mean, it was a good look for him, so I hope he keeps it. And do I think he'll be a huge star in 2013? I've talked about Cody Rhodes before. I do feel that there's something he's missing in order to get to that top level. I'm not quite sure what it is, but as I've also mentioned in previous videos, all it takes is one tweak of your character or one catchphrase. Any one thing could set Cody Rhodes off and take him to the next level. You look back at somebody like Stone Cold Steve Austin. He just had to find the right gimmick at the right time, and he was on fire. Cody Rhodes is certainly a guy that is on the list of potential huge superstars in WWE. He could very well be the future, and he certainly has the potential. But like I said, it's all about finding that one thing and then catapulting from there. This one comes from The Practical. Hey Aaron, what were the plans for Jeff Hardy at WrestleMania 24 if he didn't get suspended? Jeff Hardy, I believe, was scheduled to win the Money in the Bank ladder match. Jeff Hardy was really starting to build momentum as a top-level babyface around that time. He came short in the title match with Randy Orton at the Royal Rumble, but the fans were really getting behind him, and his suspension was a setback. No doubt about it, but he was still able to come back, and he eventually did win the world title. But yeah, it's interesting because CM Punk ended up winning Money in the Bank and then won the world title, and that was the beginning of his big push. So who knows what would have happened with CM Punk if Jeff Hardy did not get suspended. So that's something interesting to think about. This one comes from Sergio. Michael Cole mentioned that Kane has been in the most matches in WWE history at 899. Do you think WWE will have a Kane 1000 angle, and do you think 1000 could be his final match? It would make a great DVD, though. They'd have to acknowledge Isaac Yankem. Well, they don't have to acknowledge Isaac Yankem, but I suppose they should. The thing about mentioning how many matches he's had is I could see WWE just totally forgetting about that next week and never bringing it up again. But it is an interesting idea that you point out, and it could be something effective if WWE chose to play up on it and continue pushing it. Yeah, Kane is a guy who's been around for a long time, and I think that by mentioning how many matches he had, it really shows how important a character he was in WWE history. So, I mean, if it was me, I would certainly play up on it, but I cannot guarantee that WWE will ever mention it again. I could see them just throwing that out. Somebody said, hey, Kane's had this many matches. They mention it on Raw, and then they forget about it the next week. This one comes from Gene IUZJ. Who do you think were the 3 worst Royal Rumble winners as far as booking and believability? Well, the first worst Royal Rumble winner, I mean, Jim Duggan winning the Rumble in 1988. I mean, he was a mid-card talent winning the Rumble, but at that point, the Rumble wasn't this huge deal. It wasn't as big of a match as it would become. But certainly, when you look at all the Royal Rumble winners and you look at Jim Duggan, you're like, how the hell did he win the Royal Rumble? But yeah, that was a period when the Royal Rumble match was new, and it wasn't a match that was filled with main event talent. As far as believability, Rey Mysterio winning the 2006 Rumble, that was, in my opinion, one of the worst winners of the Royal Rumble, just because it was clear WWE had him win because of Eddie Guerrero's death. And, you know, they always play up how if you're a big guy, you have an advantage in the Royal Rumble. So for a small guy like Rey Mysterio to win and last the whole match, it is hard to believe. There's not a lot of credibility there, and I just didn't like it. That's my opinion on that. And another one that I think in terms of booking, Alberto Del Rio's Royal Rumble win, just because he won it, and then he was in the opening match for the world title WrestleMania and lost. So, I mean, that was a waste of potential there. I think you had Alberto Del Rio win this huge Royal Rumble match. Why not catapult him to the main event scene and have him win in a high-profile match at WrestleMania? Didn't happen. What's the deal with heels being so laid back these days? I mean, Ziggler hosts a WWE show, Otunga loves all of his fans, and Tenzai, aka the Monster, talks to fans and tweets about baseball. I mean, you would never see Jake Roberts or Ted DiBiase do this. You bring up a good point there. The wrestling business has changed. Wrestlers aren't as concerned about trying to play kayfabe and try to trick fans into believing that wrestling is real. I mean, pretty much everyone now accepts WWE as entertainment, and it's not like WWE is trying to still portray themselves as a sport. I mean, you look back in the '90s, like Bret Hart when he was feuding with Owen Hart. I mean, they went all out. They would make sure they traveled separately and never hang out together in restaurants or whatever. So they tried to keep that illusion that wrestling was real. And now, you know, in this day and age with the internet and everything, it's very difficult. It would be very difficult for two guys that are feuding with each other to try to stay away from each other, you know, with cell phones and, you know, people capturing videos. So there's really no point in trying to kayfabe everybody and try to convince people that wrestling's still real. So, I mean, I think it's just, you know, the times have changed. This one comes from Matty Don. Was MVP's criminal history the reason he wasn't pushed to the main event scene? Honestly, I think that if his criminal history was such a big deal, I don't think WWE would have hired him in the first place. I really don't see that being a main reason why he wasn't pushed as a main eventer. I just think that, you know, the guy did his time, and he dedicated himself and got his training in and worked his way up in the wrestling world, and I think he earned his spot in WWE. I mean, that's how I see it, and I think that there are other reasons why they didn't push him, and I don't think the criminal history had a huge impact on how WWE portrayed him. Which Chris Jericho gimmick was better? Y2J when he first arrived, or the heel gimmick when he wore the suits? Well, that's hard to say what is better. I mean, what do you define better as? I think that the Y2J gimmick was better in a sense of selling merchandise, you know, all the Y2J T-shirts, and when he was a babyface character, you know, he made all that money with the merchandising. When he turned heel, you know, he wasn't coming out in shirts; he was wearing the suits, so you didn't have that merchandise. But by that point, Jericho was already such an established star, and he made so much money that he didn't need to wear the T-shirts all the time. And, you know, the heel gimmick was unique because, you know, every wrestler comes out wearing the shirts, but Jericho comes out with the suit, and he has that whole different demeanor. So, I mean, there were two different gimmicks, and they were both extremely successful. But if you're talking about, like, you know, in terms of which gimmick made more money, I would think that his original gimmick was more successful. But certainly the heel gimmick, you know, was perhaps the best period of his career. I mean, he was voted the Superstar of the Year in the NoDQ.com Year-End Awards twice, in 2008 and 2009. So, I mean, one could argue that his best period was when he was doing the heel gimmick with the suits. All right, that'll wrap it up for this edition of No DQ&A video. And as I mentioned a moment ago about the No DQ year-end awards, they're going on right now. Make sure you cast your vote in all the categories. I have a playlist up on YouTube, so you can check out all the videos with my thoughts on the year-end awards. And stay tuned to NoDQ.com. Keep voting, keep spreading the word, and I'll see you next time for more No DQ&A video.